This recipe video was recorded back in March of 2022, before Jessica got her cancer diagnosis. We have been promising to post more of these videos for quite a while now, so this is us fulfilling our promise. Please enjoy.
You guys, this might be the best recipe we've ever made. Welcome to Krocks in the Kitchen.
I am Brian.
And I am Jessica.
So, what is the best recipe that we've ever made?
Meatloaf.
No meatloaf.
No meat. Yeah, it's meatloaf without the meat. And it has a balsamic ketchup glaze, you guys. I mean, come on.
So, let's rewind this just a little bit. Back in the day, before the Krocks switched to a whole food plant-based diet, we used to make meatloaf using turkey and some Southwest stuff and all of that, based off of a recipe from Bobby Flay.
Yes.
All right. Cut to years later, here we are eating whole food plant-based. And we were like, you know, there are meatloaf recipes out there. Some of them are good, some of them aren't that good. I've heard a lot of people who have tried like making a lentil loaf and it just hasn't turned out that great. And I was like, you know what? I really would like to make a meatloaf recipe, but I just don't really know where to start. Then I thought back to the good old days when we used to make that one.
The Bobby Flay meatloaf. And you guys, we would make it like every other week.
Yeah.
It was like on the regular, and it had these very distinct flavors from the balsamic and the ketchup, and it had veggies in it. It had all these veggies throughout, and it just had this very specific look and taste, and I miss it because it's very nostalgic for us, because it's like the beginning of when we first got married.
Yep.
We would make it all the time, and it's just like a really great recipe. So I was sad that we would never be able to have it again, but then somehow, you guys, we've created a whole food plant-based version that, seriously, when I take a bite, I am transported back to eating the original, and it's amazing. The flavors, the texture, the look, everything is there.
Yep. Somehow we whipped it together. I was inspired to make something that has a very similar meat-like texture while being completely 100% whole food plant-based. And I am so proud of this recipe. So, without further ado,
let's get to cooking.
Okay, we need to do this in stages. So let's start with the mushrooms and veggies. First off, you will need 4 ounces of mushrooms, whatever kind you like, just chopped into 1/4-inch pieces. You will also need 1 red bell pepper, chopped into 1/2-inch pieces, 1 yellow bell pepper, diced into 1/2-inch pieces, and 1 zucchini, of course diced into 1/2-inch pieces. If you just want to chop it all up, that's fine too. We just found that this sort of chopping ratio works really well. You will also need 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Heat a large skillet to medium-high heat and add in your diced mushrooms and saute those, stirring frequently. What we are doing here is mainly just cooking out all that liquid that is in the mushrooms. Once most of the liquid has been cooked out and the pan is looking a little dry, add in the diced bell peppers, zucchini, and the red pepper flakes. And then just saute them until they are softened. And the final step is to cook the garlic. I like to make a nice little spot in the middle and add in the minced garlic and just cook that right there in the middle of the pan for about 30 seconds to a minute, just until it starts to get a little fragrant. After that, just mix everything together, remove it from the heat, set it aside, and let it cool. So, while the veggies are cooling, we can get on to the next step. For that part of the recipe, you will need 1 cup of old-fashioned oats, 2 15-ounce cans of black beans, drained and rinsed, and 1 cup of cooked black rice. Now you can use any kind of rice that you like, but we really do prefer the black rice for this one. It just has a much meatier texture. But if you can't find black rice, I won't hold it against you. It'll still turn out great. In your food processor, go ahead and add in your black beans and pulse them about 10 times. You do not want to make this a smooth paste, especially because we're going to do more pulsing later on. This is the consistency of the beans you're looking for at this stage. After you are done pulsing them, transfer them to a large mixing bowl. Now go ahead and add in the cooked black rice and the oats. And go ahead and pulse those for about 10 times. Now you may be asking yourself, Brian, why are you doing these two things separately? Well, the answer is very simple. It just doesn't come out the same way. It works a lot better if you do these two things separately and then mix them together in a bowl. Just trust me on this one, it just works better. And once those are pulsed together, go ahead and add those into the large mixing bowl with the beans. Alright, for this next part, we will need a few more ingredients. First up is a half cup of ketchup. Now, we have a ketchup recipe. It'll work great in this, but if you can't do that, we do really like this sugar-free ketchup. You will also need 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Don't go for the cheap stuff, get the good stuff for this. And 1 tablespoon of low sodium tamari. You will also need 1/4 cup of fresh parsley, finely chopped, and 1 teaspoon of thyme. Alright, let's get back to the large mixing bowl with the rice, bean, and oat mixture, and go ahead and add in the cooked and cooled veggies. Then go ahead and add in the half cup of ketchup, the 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, the tamari, the chopped parsley, and the thyme. Now, you just want to stir this together, kind of gently. You don't want to really mash anything up, just kind of mix it until it's just combined. Now, everyone knows that a good meatloaf has to bind together. That's the only way it'll stay together and not be crumbly and all that kind of stuff. So I like to make a nice little egg-type mixture using 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1 tablespoon of white miso paste. To make the egg mixture, you just need to take those 3 ingredients and blend them together until they are a nice creamy liquid. We like to use our small little blender cup. Then you just take that egg mixture, pour it into the mixing bowl with everything else that you've cooked so far, and give it a nice stir. Now for the final ingredient of this mixture, and that is breadcrumbs. Now, you can go out and buy regular breadcrumbs if you like, but you can make them very easily. Just use 2 slices of Ezekiel bread, well toasted, and let them cool. Throw them in a blender and blitz them until they are crumbs. Then just go ahead and add them into the mixing bowl, give it a nice stir, and we are ready to move on to the next step. So everyone knows that a good meatloaf has a nice glaze on top. And fortunately, all of the ingredients that we need for that are things that we have used in this recipe. So you will need 1/4 cup of that ketchup. Once again, you can use our recipe or you can just buy a nice sugar-free version. You will also need 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. All you need to do is add these 3 ingredients together into a small bowl and stir them to combine. Now all we need to do is put our veggie mixture into a loaf pan. We like to use this one that has a little centerpiece that comes out. It also has a little gap in the bottom just in case there's any extra liquid that cooks out and it just goes down there so it doesn't stay in your loaf. But you just want to put everything from the mixing bowl into the loaf pan and kind of press it down into the sides and get it nice and compacted. Now, you don't need to go crazy and squish it all down in there. You just want to make sure that it is together and that it goes to all of the corners. And as we all know, Jessica likes to be a perfectionist, and so she really, really likes to get this top nice and smooth and flat. Once you have reached a nice level of flatness that you like, which may not be to Jessica's standard, but very few people can meet Jessica's standards, go ahead and pour on that glaze mixture. Now all you got to do is move it around to make sure it fills in every single corner and covers the surface completely. Trust me, this will just make a really, really lovely top, strong, powerful flavor for this no meatloaf recipe. See, that looks great, just like that, but we do need to cook this. So throw this into an oven that has been preheated to 350 degrees and bake for 1 hour. Once it has baked for 1 hour, go ahead and pull it out and let it rest for at least 15 minutes before removing it from the pan. Now I know, it looks amazing, it'll smell amazing, and it'll be really, really hard for you to fight that temptation to just dig in. But trust me, just wait, let it cool off a bit, let those flavors meld, and let it just settle into the loaf. And now, for the moment of truth. You can, of course, go around the sides of this with a knife to make sure it doesn't stick, but just look at this. Look how beautiful this is. It's just so tasty and good. Once you've got it like this, go ahead and just slice it up, put it on a plate, and enjoy. And remember folks, you can find the entire recipe, a printable version with a bunch of additional photos, on our website, which is linked in the description below. Trust me, go there, check it out, get this recipe. You will want to make it and impress all of your friends. So, here you have what is quite possibly the best recipe we've ever made. Yes, it's a little complicated. Yes, it takes steps. Yes, it does have a fairly long cooking time, but when it's done, it is a masterpiece.
It's a beauty.
It holds together. It has the bite. It has the chew. It has the glaze.
The color. The pops of color from the peppers and the zucchini. It's got the veggies in there. We like to serve it with a little bit of mashed taters and some green beans that Brian grilled up in the pan, whatever thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, look at it glisten.
And it'll hold up for days, to the point where the next day after, you can even put it between a couple slices of bread and have yourself a meatloaf sandwich.
Which apparently is a thing in the Krocks household. So
I'm amazed that other people haven't done that, because it's awesome. If you haven't had a meatloaf sandwich, I suggest you try. Especially when you got some mashed potatoes left over too, and you put a little bit on the bread, and then you go.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And the thing is, like, with meatloaf, I always wanted like lots of ketchup, but this balsamic ketchup glaze, you guys, is amazing. And I don't even like balsamic. So it is just great. So
this is my portion, right?
No. You have to share.
Take your bite.
Okay, I'm going to take this bite.
I mean, I already know what it tastes like, but I'm going to take this corner right there. This is just so good that every time I eat it, I'm like, how is it this good?
That glaze. It's
got such a pop of flavor.
Just a touch of heat.
Little bit of heat from the red pepper flakes.
And the other thing you can do with this one is, if you want to heat up a slice, throw it in the air fryer, get a little crisp going on.
You know what I'd love to do? Try it out, slice it up, cook it on the griddler.
Ooh, griddler meatloaf.
I mean, why not?
Okay, one more bite.
It's seriously that good. Like, I cannot sing the praises higher than this meatloaf. Like, if God were before me and he was like, Brian, make your best dish, this is gonna be it.
Well, the funny thing is Brian never wants to do a video where it's like, the title is like, best ever, blah, blah, blah. But on this one, he was like, we should totally do best ever.
Well, I think what I said was, if there's any video that I would do that for, it would be this one. Because I honestly believe that this is the best ever vegan meatloaf that has, whole food plant-based meatloaf that has ever been made. In my opinion, this is the best.
All right.
I know that may be debatable, but for myself, doesn't matter. This is the best.
Okay, well.
That it?
You better get to the close before I eat this whole thing.
Eat the whole thing. I don't care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the bell that is right next to it. You will get notified whenever we post a new video, which probably will not be the best ever, but it'll be really, really good. I promise. You can share this video and give it a good old like. Because, sharing is caring. And so you want to give meatloaf recipes out to the world. You can find us on social media, Facebook and Instagram. You can message us, you can comment, you can do all sorts of fun stuff, and we love interacting with you guys out there. But I think that's all I got.
That's definitely all I got.
We will see you next time on Krocks in the Kitchen. Bye.
Bye. Do you think Pete is okay?
I'm sure he's fine.